Hi guys, so today we are going to be using our notice and note strategies to read and annotate our short story 11. So make sure you have a copy of the story. You will need a pencil to make your annotations as well as a highlighter. And remember, if you don't have a highlighter, you can always use a colored pencil or marker. And we are going to review our notice and note strategies first so that we can remember what we want to annotate. So let's start with our contrast contradictions. That's when a character says or does something that's the opposite of what you'd expect. An aha moment is when a character or you realize something as you're reading. Again and again is when you notice that something is being repeated over and over again. Words of the wiser is when an older, wiser character is giving advice. A memory moment is when you are presented with a flashback or memory. And a tough question is when a character is faced with a difficult question that they ask themselves. So those are our 6 things we're going to annotate for. If you see other things as you are reading, you are welcome to highlight and make note of those things as well. Okay. So this story is called 11 by Sandra Cisneros. What they don't understand about birthdays and what they never tell you is that when you're 11, you're also 10 and 9 and 8 and 7 and 6 and 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And when you wake up on your 11th birthday, you expect to feel 11, but you don't. You open your eyes and everything's just like yesterday, only it's today, and you don't feel 11 at all. You feel like you're still 10, and you are, underneath the year that makes you 11. So I'm going to highlight that it's the main character's 11th birthday, and since I'm figuring that out, that's an aha moment. So we know it's her 11th birthday. Like, some days you might say something stupid, and that's the part of you that's still 10. Or maybe some days you might need to sit on your mama's lap because you're scared, and that's the part of you that's 5. And maybe one day, when you're all grown up, maybe you'll need to cry, like if you're 3, and that's okay. That's what I tell Mama when she's sad and needs to cry. Maybe she's feeling 3. I'm going to highlight this part about her wanting to sit on her mama's lap when she's scared, and then wanting to cry even though you're grown up. And those are going to be contrast and contradictions, which we'll mark with C and C, because this is the opposite of how you think you're supposed to act when you're grown up or when you're older. You don't think you'd want to sit on your mom's lap or feel the need to cry, but she's saying that sometimes you act like your younger selves, and that's okay. But that is contradicting what it means to be like when you're a grown up. Because the way you grow old is kind of like an onion, or like the rings inside a tree trunk, or like my little wooden dolls that fit one inside the other, each year inside the next one. That's how being 11 years old is. I'm going to put a question mark here, because she's describing how she's feeling like growing older is like an onion, or inside of a tree trunk, or little wooden dolls that fit one inside the other. And I think that is a much deeper statement, and so I'm putting question marks there because I feel like that could be interpreted even more, and I want to analyze that more later. You don't feel 11, not right away. It takes a few days, weeks even, sometimes even months before you say 11 when they ask you how old you are. And you don't feel smart 11, not until you're almost 12. That's the way it is. Only today I wish I didn't have only 11 years rattling inside me like pennies in a tin Band-Aid box. Today I wish I was 102 instead of 11, because if I was 102, I'd have known what to say when Mrs. Price put the red sweater on my desk. I would have known how to tell her it wasn't mine, instead of just sitting there with that look on my face and nothing coming out of my mouth. "Whose is this?" Mrs. Price says, and she holds the red sweater up in the air for all the class to see. "Whose? It's been sitting in the coat room for a month." "Not mine," says everybody. "Not me." "It has to belong to somebody," Mrs. Price keeps saying, but nobody could remember. It's an ugly sweater with red plastic buttons and a collar and sleeves all stretched out like you could use it for a jump rope. It's maybe 1,000 years old, and even if it belonged to me, I wouldn't say so. Maybe because I'm skinny, maybe because she doesn't like me, but that stupid Sylvia Saldivier says, "I think it belongs to Rachel." An ugly sweater like that, all raggedy and old, but Mrs. Price believes her. Mrs. Price takes the sweater and puts it right on my desk, but when I open my mouth, nothing comes out. You're not mine," I finally say in a little voice that was maybe me when I was 4. "Of course it's yours," Mrs. Price says. "I remember you wearing it once." Because she's older, and the teacher, she's right and I'm not. Okay, so let's highlight a couple of things here. We are going to highlight here where Sylvia says, "I think it belongs to Rachel." And we're going to make that an aha moment because this is showing us what the conflict of the story is. There is this ugly red sweater, and this other girl says that it's Rachel's, but it's not hers. And then here, where the teacher says that it's her sweater, even though it's not, Rachel says because she's older and the teacher, she's right and I'm not. That's going to be a contrast and contradiction because you would almost expect the older person, the adult, the teacher, to be more respectful to the student and to be more correct, but she's actually not right in this situation. But Rachel's just too scared to say that. Not mine, not mine, not mine. But Mrs. Price is already turning to page 32 and math problem number 4. I don't know why, but all of a sudden I'm feeling sick inside. The part of me that's 3 wants to come out of my eyes. Only I squeeze them shut tight and bite down on my teeth real hard and try to remember today I am 11. Mama is making a cake for me tonight, and when Papa comes home, everybody will sing happy birthday to you. But when the sick feeling goes away and I open my eyes, the red sweater's still sitting there like a big red mountain. I move the red sweater to the corner of my desk with my ruler. I move my pencil and books and eraser as far from it as possible. I even move my chair a little to the right. Not mine, not mine, not mine. Okay, so Rachel keeps repeating this phrase, not mine, not mine, not mine. And that's going to be again and again because she is repeating it. Remember, it's when a phrase or something is repeated over and over again. She really wants to emphasize, like, this sweater is not hers. In my head, I'm thinking how long till lunchtime? How long till I can take the red sweater and throw it over the schoolyard fence or even leave it hanging on a parking meter or bunch it up into a little ball and toss it in the alley? Except when math period ends, Mrs. Price says loud and in front of everybody, "Now, Rachel, that's enough," because she sees I've shoved the red sweater to the tippy-tip corner of my desk and it's hanging all over the edge like a waterfall. But I don't care. "Rachel," Mrs. Price says. She says it like she's getting mad. "You put that sweater on right now and no more nonsense." "But it's not now," Mrs. Price says. This is when I wish I wasn't 11 because all the years inside of me, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, are pushing at the back of my eyes when I put one arm through one sleeve of the sweater that smells like cottage cheese and then the other arm through the other and stand there with my arms apart, all itchy and full of germs that aren't even mine. That's when everything I've been holding in since this morning, since when Mrs. Price put the sweater on my desk, finally lets go, and all of a sudden I'm crying in front of everybody. I wish I was invisible, but I'm not. I'm 11 and it's my birthday today and I'm crying in front of everybody. I put my head down on the desk and bury my face in my stupid clown sweater arms. My face all hot and spit coming out of my mouth because I can't stop the little animal noises from coming out of me until there aren't any more tears left in my eyes and I'm shaking like when you have the hiccups and my whole head hurts like when you drink milk too fast. But the worst part is right before the bell rings for lunch. That stupid Phyllis Lopez, who is even dumber than Sylvia, remembers that the red sweater is hers. I take it off right away and give it to her. Only Mrs. Price pretends like everything's okay. So a couple of things I'm going to annotate in this section. She talks about being 11 and then all the years inside of her. And that's going to be again and again because she's kind of repeating the fact that she's 11 and that she feels all of her previous ages. She doesn't just feel 11. She feels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And she says that a few times. So that is again and again. And then when Phyllis reveals that the sweater is hers, that is an aha moment because we and Rachel figure out like, oh, it's not even her sweater. So that is an aha. But then Mrs. Price, who forces Rachel to put on this sweater that's not even hers, doesn't even apologize. She just pretends that everything's okay. I'm going to make that a contrast and contradiction because I feel like if we made a mistake like that, we would go out of our way to apologize, make sure that, the person is okay. But the teacher does not do that here. She just pretends everything's okay. Today I'm 11. There's cake Mama's making for tonight, and when Papa comes home from work, we'll eat it. There'll be candles and presents, and everybody will sing happy birthday to you, Rachel, only it's too late. I'm 11 today. I'm 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, but I wish I was 102. I wish I was anything but 11, because I want today to be far away already. Far away like a runaway balloon, like a tiny O in the sky. So tiny, tiny, you have to close your eyes to see it. That is the end of our story, but I'm going to make just a couple more notes here. I'm going to highlight where she's saying that she's 11 and all her ages, but she wishes that she was 102, because once again, that is again and again. She's repeating this throughout the story. So make sure you have these annotations, and we are actually going to complete a discussion board activity in Schoology. So I'm going to open up Schoology. And in our learning folder, we're going to go to week of August 30th, and today is Tuesday, August 31st. And in our share for today, I'm actually in the wrong class. Okay. In our share for today, there is a discussion board, and we're going to answer the following questions in complete sentences about the story 11 that we just read. Why is this day so special to Rachel? And remember, Rachel is the name of the main character. Question 2, what happens in the story that makes Rachel feel embarrassed? Question 3, why do you think it's hard for Rachel to speak up and say that the sweater is not hers? So I'm going to take these, and then in the discussion, I'm going to click the plus sign and then hit paste so that I can see the questions while I'm answering the questions. And I'm going to give you guys a couple of sentence stems so that it'll help you write and complete sentences. Why is this day so special to Rachel? This day is so special to Rachel because, and think about in the story, like She repeats over and over again that it's a special day. So what day is it? Why is it special to her? Question 2, what happens in the story that makes Rachel feel embarrassed? In the story, Rachel feels embarrassed because, and go back to the story, there's a main conflict that happens. So what about this conflict makes Rachel feel embarrassed in the story? Question 3, why do you think it's hard for Rachel to speak up and say that the sweater is not hers? I think it's hard for Rachel to speak up because, and this is probably the one that it's going to cause you to use more of your critical thinking skills. Looking back at the story, think about why is it that Rachel doesn't just say, the sweater is not hers. In her head, she says, not mine, not mine, not mine. But she doesn't actually speak up and correct Mrs. Price on saying that the sweater is not hers. So in your opinion, why do you think it's hard for her to speak up? So you'd answer, I think it's hard for Rachel to speak up because. And everyone's answers might be a little bit different because it's your opinion here. So once you answer all 3 of these discussion questions, just make sure you hit the green check mark and that it is posted in our discussion board. And that is all for today. If you finish early with everything, just know that you can do your reading, you can free write, you can go on Membean, you can work on other classwork. It is okay for you to listen to music if you are done with your work. Otherwise, you should not have your headphones or earbuds. And if you have any questions, you can always email me or ask Miss Thompson, your sub. Have a good day, everyone, and see you tomorrow.